Good morning. Welcome. We are here this morning to remember and memorialize a loving and generous and passionate life. We come together to say goodbye to George Smithers. George was a beloved husband, son, sibling, dad, granddad, dog dad, uncle, great uncle, and friend. And today we are not walking alone in our grief and loss, we are bearing it together. But we have also gathered to celebrate a life. We have come together to give thanks that we knew this incredible person, to express gratitude for the days and years we were able to share with him, albeit too brief. Perhaps most importantly, we are here to share the joy that George brought to our lives and to celebrate his presence that remains with us even now as we hold up the memories that will remain with us always. I am Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I welcome you all here to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown. Friends and family, and especially Kevin, we hold you in our love and care this morning. I also want to welcome those of you who are watching via our live stream, especially our military members. Justin and Janice, I know that you really wanted to be here today, and not being able to take leave right now is one of the many sacrifices that you make for your country and for all of us, and we thank you. You are certainly here in spirit, and we are so glad that you can tune in from afar this morning. We pray for your safety and well-being as we gather. All of you, thank you for being here. Nancy Wood writes, "A long time I have lived with you, and now we must be going separately to be together. Perhaps I shall be the wind to blur your smooth waters so that you do not see your face too much. Perhaps I shall be the star to guide your uncertain wings so that you have direction in the night. Perhaps I shall be the fire to separate your thoughts so that you do not give up. Perhaps I shall be the rain to open up the earth so that your seeds may fall. Perhaps I shall be the snow to let your blossoms sleep so that you may bloom again in the spring. Perhaps I shall be the stream to play a song on the rock so that you are not alone. Perhaps I shall be a new mountain so that you always have a home." As a nature lover, we think George would have liked that. And now we must be going separately to be together. This is hard. Kevin, I know this is especially hard for you. Understandably, George was the love of your life. And to you and to all of George's family, I can't offer you any theological explanations for why he was taken from us. There's just so much about life that we do not understand. And there are so many ways that death takes us, sometimes too soon. Not part of any great master plan, but just the way our different stories take their course. You've been coming to the Meetinghouse some Sundays now, so you know that we don't claim to have all the answers. What we do offer here is the love of community, the company of other seekers as you try to make sense of life, of death, of grief and loss. We are shoulders to cry on, ears to listen. We take comfort that George died supported by the very kindest of strangers. And we are here to help make sense not just of the sadness and grief, but also of the relentless joy and happiness that is so determined to make its way back into your life. The world is too beautiful, and you are too special to retreat only into sadness. May your sadness find its place alongside your gladness. May your grief take its place alongside your gratefulness that you got to share so much of your life with George Know that even without him, you are not alone. All these people have gathered because George is so deeply missed. But we are also gathered because George was someone who attracted people to him with his love for life, his love for animals, for gardens, for travel, for people, for family. He had great skill at giving care to pets, to homes, to gardens, and to their owners. So many people depended on him. And so we will miss his skills and knowledge as well as his friendship, his generosity, his laughter. And he loved Provincetown. He loved sunsets and shorelines, the beach and dunes, walking the dogs, putting his hands in the dirt, saying hello to everyone. If there's something we can learn from George's death, I think it is to appreciate the places we live, to live fully in them, even if it's a motorhome on the move, and to cherish every moment, to live life to the fullest. This is what George did so well, and in death, he is reminding us to do the same. And Kevin says that George's death has also taught him not to stress about the small stuff, right? Life is too short. May we all take this lesson in, especially as the summer speeds up and Commercial Street fills up and we all get a little crispy around the edges. And as you watching from afar have to change plans and plan for hard things, may we be reminded to let go of the things that don't matter, to let them slide off our backs, to remember that what matters is our loved ones, our friends, making sure they know they are loved. What matters is the tasks and work and things that bring us deep purpose and joy, our connection to one another. So in our grief, we pause in appreciation for these reminders and for the many gifts that George brought to us in his living. Now, before I invite George's brothers up here, I want to share a message sent this morning by Justin. Thank you, Justin. He says, "Hi, everyone. My name is Justin Rintz. I am Kevin's son. First, I want to say how sorry I am that I couldn't be there with you today. But I take comfort in knowing my dad is surrounded by people who love both him and George just as much as I do. I have so many good memories of George. From the moment he and my dad got together all the way to the very last time we talked, and yes, we were teasing my dad, like always. George was a part of my life for over 20 years. To me, he was more than just family. He was another father. At first, I used to call him Uncle George, but over time that changed. He simply became my other dad. Whenever I needed someone to talk to, I could always call George. And let's be honest, if my dad didn't answer his phone, which was often because he was always working, I knew I could just call George, and he'd pick up. No matter what had gone on in our family's past, George was always there. He never missed a chance to visit. He came to family events. He was part of our lives completely and consistently. When my wife Janice and I were expecting our son Bradley, we FaceTimed them to share the news. And the look on both their faces is something that I will always hold close to my heart. And when Bradley was born and they came down for the holidays, of course, George and I stood outside laughing as we watched my dad try to back up the motorhome. That was our thing, poking fun at Dad together. One of our favorite family stories is from that visit. Bradley was only a few months old, and right away he showed us just how much he liked George by throwing up on him multiple times. George never complained. He just laughed, held him tight, and comforted him. That was George, loving, steady, and full of heart. When George passed, I was at Army drill. At first, I thought I was dreaming. It didn't feel real. But then it hit me hard. My dad lost his partner, and I lost a father. My wife lost a father-in-law, and my son lost his grandpa. We lost someone who meant the world to our family. There's not a single day that goes by that I don't think of George. Whether it's seeing something of his around the house or watching my son sit on the same couch where George used to sit, he's still with us in the little things, in the memories, in the love we carry forward. I miss him deeply, but I know he's still here in spirit, watching over us, laughing with us, being part of our lives like he always was. And I like to think he's in heaven now, surrounded by all the dogs and cats he loved like his own children. And I know deep in my heart that I'll see him again one day. Thank you. So at this time, I invite George's brother Corey to come forward and say a few words.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Corey Smithers, George's youngest brother. It's still hard for me to believe that we are gathered here to say goodbye. Before I begin, I want to express my gratitude to all. It means the world to our family that you are here and to share our grief and celebrate my brother George's life. I want to share a few memories that I hope will capture a bit of who George was. His infectious smile, his wonderful sense of humor, and his unwavering kindness. George was 10 years older than me, so there was a noticeable age difference. When I was young, I always admired George's coolness, admired George's wavy hair when he had hair. The way he dressed and his coolness that he carried with himself. When George left for college, I was many years younger in middle school. He'd always come home to see his friends and his family, but he always made time for his little brother. I know brothers, a lot of brothers with that age difference wouldn't take the time to hang with their youngest siblings, but George did. He took me to many classic films when I was young, like Jaws, 3D, Halloween, and Friday the 13th. I remember one time when we were watching Jaws 3 in 3D with the old glasses we used to have, the cardboard 3D glasses. Jaws came right at us, and we both jumped and looked at each other and started laughing during the film. And it was a memory that's always stuck with me. George and I another memory was from when George was taking summer classes at St. Lawrence University in Canton, New York, which is about 20 minutes from our hometown in Ogdensburg, New York. He came over, he picked me up in the car he had, brought me to Canton for the weekend. I stayed in his dorm with him. We toured around Canton. We went to dinner. We hung out in his dorm room. And on the Sunday, it was time for me to head back to Ogdensburg, which I was less than 10 years old at the time. He brought me to the bus stop to put me on the bus. As a youngster, I was scared to go the 20 minutes by myself, and I was crying. He consoled me, and as I got out of the car, he shut the door, not knowing my hand was still in the door. And he made me cry even more. To the day he passed, we laughed about that. Every time we saw each other, we joked. As years passed, George moved from New York to Florida. We talked, not as much as we'd like to, as I became a father and a husband, and he was busy with his life. As time went on, we reconnected and formed a stronger bond than ever. We spoke almost every week. He was always very supporting and loving to me and my family. Eventually, George decided to make a significant change to his life, and he moved from Florida to Cape Cod. One day, when George was walking one of his many Shar-Peis down the street, a man noticed him, Kevin. And from that day forward, they made a significant bond with each other and became his love of his life, and Kevin became his best friend. Kevin fits right in with our family. He was always a strong part, never made waves, always helped with both of my parents, even when they were getting sick and it was time for them to move on into heaven. But it was very comforting knowing that my brother George was being taken care of and loved by Kevin. After many years of admiring George about his cool hair, his looks, when he had hair, I realized that one day the tables have turned. That was when he grew a beard to look like his younger brother. And even though our hearts ache, I find solace in the love and laughter he brought into our lives. George was the best big brother I could ever ask for. He always supported me. He always came back for me. He never forgot me and our family. He always loved my children, Curtis and Taylor, and their daughters, Addie, Bryn, and Genevieve. We will miss George and cherish the time we had together. Rest in peace, George, I love you. And I want to thank you, everybody, for coming to spend this moment together and celebrate George's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Now I invite George's other brother, Greg, to share a few memories.
Sorry, I didn't bring a piece of paper. I have modern technology. I'm using my phone. So I'm Gregory, George's younger brother, but it's only by 2 years, about 2 years. So we grew up mostly together because we were closer in age than Corey. So he was obviously the youngest. So I just want to share some memories I have of when it was just him and I, things that we experienced. So, do you remember sharing our Peanuts-themed bedroom? Do you remember Christmas when we could hear our puppy cry and we couldn't wait to meet him? Do you remember going to the city beach and our mom used to wrap our soda in tinfoil? Do you remember we would get 10-speed bikes for Christmas, but we couldn't ride them until summer? Do you remember when you graduated from high school and you left to start your life, a new adventure? 2 years later, I joined you not far from your college. Do you remember when you told me it was okay to be true to myself, to come out gay? Do you remember meeting for our gay vacations together? We would meet here in Provincetown for a couple summers before he met Kevin. Do you remember driving in October to Niagara Falls with the top down in your yellow Mazda convertible? You had to pull over to give me a blanket because it was too cold. Do you remember when you and Kevin came to Florida for the winter and I couldn't wait to see you and Kevin come visit Mom and I? Remembering you is easy. Not getting a phone call from you and not hearing from you for holidays, birthdays is very difficult. I wait for those calls, but they never come. But I know that you're with Mom and Dad now. No doubt in my mind you're telling on me right now. I still remember the time you told on me when I took my snow pants, I didn't have my snow pants straps on, and I put them on outdoors, and you ran down Green Street to tell Mom on me. Yesterday when we were entering Cape Cod, all these memories were coming back of like where, I knew I spent time with George. Like the day before his wedding, we went to Hyannis together to get stuff for the wedding, to plan out the party, the favors. Finally, I'm glad you found the love of your life. I hope you are watching over Kevin and our family. As we always say when we leave each other or end a phone call, love you.
Thank you, Greg. We're going to take some time now to listen to a beautiful cello piece. As soon as Kevin heard Chan play, he knew he had a gift, and we are lucky that he is sharing that gift with us today. Thank you. Beautiful. This time I invite George's friend Richard Keeling to offer his reflections.
Morning. I'm grateful, and it feels like an honor, Kevin, to be with all of you this morning to celebrate George Smithers and to lift up his husband, Kevin, his family, and Jackson, their Sharpay. I'm Richard Keeling, and I go by Rich, for which reason my relationship with with George started with a joke. I met him the first time. I put my hand out and I said, "I'm Rich." He said, "Wish I was." So I've learned to say, "Hi, I'm Rich. That's my name, not my socioeconomic status." And George would just say, "Yeah, fake it till you make it." For more than half of the 13 years that Eric, my husband, and I have lived full-time in Provincetown, George brought not only a sweet and saucy gay sensibility, but also gentleness, beauty, optimism into our lives. Now, he also brought thousands, literally thousands, seriously thousands of dog biscuits. Tally, our ridiculous but wonderful Airedale Terrier, somehow knew that George was coming to walk in long before George was anywhere near the house. So Tally would pace by the door, almost levitating himself in anticipation. Then he and George would have these high-pitched conversations, which were mostly about whether there were, in fact, more dog biscuits in George's pockets. George called them cookies. And to this day, if you say the word cookie around Tally, there will be consequences. I think the many flowers that George planted and nurtured in our window boxes stood up a little straighter when he was around. And we have this minor indoor forest of peace lilies, snake plants, amaryllises, an air plant, a fiddle-leaf fig, too many Christmas cactuses, which, by the way, have never bloomed at Christmas. Thank you very much. And whatever else that big, huge one upstairs is, all of that had something to do with what George brought to us. It wasn't just photosynthesis and air purification, about which he would have said, "Yeah, whatever." And then there were the incredibly beautiful parts of the outside: geraniums, pansies, hydrangeas, hibiscuses, hostas, mandevillas. George loved those plants, all of them. And through them, I think he loved us. Despite everything, I think he did. You know that Broadway song from Anything Goes? "You'd be so easy to love." Well, I'm sure we were not always that easy. Like, for example, there were those times when George would walk into the kitchen, pick up a stray bottle of some unknown substance or a box of God knows what, hold it up and say, "What the hell is this for?" He was an expert navigator, winding his way through the complexities of a household that was also a business and at times an amusement park, featuring twists and turns on its own particular, unique kind of roller coaster. Out back, on the wall behind the house in our patio, there is still to this day, and will be, a large wooden whale. That was a gift from George. He said once, "Don't ever move it. That's how I keep an eye on you." We've kept it, never moved it. Maybe he still does keep an eye on us somehow. You know of Mary Oliver, our hometown Provincetown poet. And she wrote about love and loss in 4 decades of poems. In 1989, in her poem called Blackwater Woods, she summed it all up. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes, to let it go. To let it go. None of us were ready. None of us were ready, Kevin, to let George go. Too soon, too early, too fast, too hard. Not a choice he or any of us would have made. But as another poet, Emily Dickinson, 200 years ago wrote, because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. Tally, remember him, that fractious and funny creature I referred to earlier? Tally the Airedale came into our lives after Cooper, his predecessor, also an Airedale, had died. Around that time, George and Kevin lost Oliver, a previous Sharpay, and Jackson, who has taken over skillfully as Kevin's full-time manager, arrived. George was one of the first humans Tally ever met, and there is a magical photo of their initial encounter. I'm not sure which of them was more excited. George reminded us then, and more than once since then, that bringing a dog into your life inevitably means knowing they will eventually break your heart. And he and we did it, and would do it again anyway. So it was with George, as it will be for all of us too. No, I don't mean that in the absurd, inhumane sense of Senator Joni Ernst's comment last week, you know we're all going to die. But truly, being human, being connected to and loving other humans will eventually break our hearts. Still, the heart only breaks because it is so full. I'll conclude back with Mary Oliver. This time, her poem is called Rose's Late Summer. I like to think of George as I read it. I hope you will too. Mary's poem goes, if I had another life, I would want to spend it all on some unstinting happiness. I would be a fox or a tree full of waving branches. I wouldn't mind being a rose in a field of roses. Fear has not yet occurred to them, nor ambition. Reason they have not yet thought of. Neither do they ask how long they must be roses, and then what? Or any other foolish question. George was not into foolish questions, but he was definitely into unstinting happiness. He might well have been a fox, or a tree full of waving branches, or a rose in a field of roses, whatever. Regardless, he would have been superbly fabulous and endlessly caring. He would not have asked how long he must be a rose, or a fox, or a tree. And in this very turbulent world of ours, like Voltaire's Candide, he would mostly want to tend his garden. I'm sure of what George would want for all of us, and most especially for you, Kevin, is unstinting happiness. So, George Edward Smithers, wherever you are, listen up. You enriched all of us, beautified our homes and gardens, brought joy to this town. We remember you, we miss you, we celebrate you, we thank you for the gifts of your life and love. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. That's your name. Now I invite another friend, Sean Cahill, to offer a few words.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Sandy, and I'm here with my husband, Sean Cahill. Mr. Smithers, that's what we called him. And we all called each other Mr. Mr. Sandy, Mr. Cahill, Mr. Smithers. It was a salutation of equal parts respect and joyfulness and playfulness for each other. Mr. Smithers, he worked for us for 8 years, but a much better way to say it is to say he helped us for 8 years. It didn't take long for us to appreciate his kindness, his generosity, and his steady willingness to lend a hand. It was our first season, and Mr. Smithers had seen it all. He quickly came to understand how we lived, who we were, and how he could support us. And support us he did. He figured it all out with quiet competence and grace. We never asked much of him. He simply got us, and it was right from the start. One morning, at the end of the first season, he was heading out the front door, and the three of us were all together saying our goodbyes. And just as he was leaving, he turned back at us. He turned back and looked at us and said, "I have just one question for the two of you." And we looked at each other thinking, oh no, what's he going to ask? Is it going to be highly personal? Embarrassing? Serious? He looked at us very seriously, and then he asked, "How come your bicycles don't have any kickstands?" And with that, we stood there dumbfounded. He turned around and walked away. We love you, Mr. Smithers, and we miss you a lot.
Good morning. There are many ways to describe a person, what they did, where they lived, who they loved. But sometimes it's just a passing conversation, a quiet ritual, or a bit of humor in which we truly feel someone's presence. I want to share one such moment. I grew quite close to Mr. Smithers in his 8 years with us. I loved him, actually. I would often linger in the kitchen for a few extra minutes when he was going about his tasks. I was lingering there for no reason other than to just talk with him for a few minutes, to spend some time with a sweet man. My husband and I like to drink martinis, probably more than we should. Particularly here in Provincetown, we observe our arrivals with a ceremonial tipple, maybe two. We garnish with a lemon twist, and we have a specific bird's beak knife that we use to carefully peel away a section of the lemon's rind, just the rind, not too much pith, leaving the lemon intact. A longer stay in town, a few more lemons. Obligations in the outer world take us away from Provincetown more than we like. One afternoon, the two of us had left. My phone rang, and it was Smithers. I hadn't seen him that morning before I left. He asked me if everything was all right. I was confused. Did he know something I didn't? It was a very serious-sounding question to someone who was under the impression that all was right in the world. "What do you mean?" I stammered, suddenly concerned. "Are you upset with me?" he asked. "Certainly not." This was even more confusing. I had never been upset with him. Truly, everything that he ever did for us was perfect. No, not in the least, I blurted out. What makes you think that? What are you worrying about? I just worry, he said. I just worry that maybe I've lost my sparkle. Smithers, everything's fine. We love you. What's going on? What are you talking about? And then came his reply, freighted with humor and with affection. It's just that you come and stay, and you leave. And you don't leave a note, you don't leave a card. All you leave is a pile of scarred lemons. I giggled, and I could almost hear the wry smile in his voice as he shifted gears and asked, "Will you be back on Thursday?" It was one of the sweetest moments I had with him, and it captures exactly who he was: funny, attentive, and quietly affectionate. He was really just phoning to say goodbye. From that day forward, I always left a note, or at least a fresh lemon. I miss him. I miss him every day. Thank you.
Thank you both. George loved this community, his chosen family, and I know many of you have stories of him. We have just a few more moments together, and if any of you are moved to do so, we invite you to come forward and share just a few words about George, a story or a memory. We've been intimidated by these amazing speakers that we've already had. If no one wants to come forward, that's okay. We can share during the reception time too. I want to end with this reading by Henry Scott Holland. Reminds me of Justin's words. It's called Togetherness. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used to. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of your mind because I am out of your sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner, and all is well. We hope that you will all join us downstairs for a small reception, and there we can continue to say George's name, Mr. Smithers, to share memories and stories. And there is a guest book for you to sign and photos to look at. Carrying George in our hearts, let us go now from this place in comfort and in peace, assured that even in this time of loss and sorrow, life remains precious and good. May we also on this day rekindle in our hearts an appreciation for the gifts and life of all of our family and friends. As you return to the routines of your lives, may an abiding peace go with you. Amen.